What is up, everybody? Got Tuffy Talk here. Got Rob, Ryan, got Layton Smith here. Our partner Macon is running a minute behind, so he'll be joining us here in a second. But we want to go ahead and get started on time. So if y'all don't mind, letting us know at any point whether you're watching us through Twitter, watching us through YouTube. At any point, sending us a message in chat, letting us know who's joining us today. We'd really appreciate it. Shout out. Just want to know kind of who our audience is today. But yeah, I really today wanted to kind of just do like a last minute thing and bring on the crew and basically just talk about, baseball. Obviously, a lot's been going on with that recently, and just kind of hash it out a little bit here. So that's pretty much it. So so originally Rob, so want to kind of get your original thoughts. I know that I was in Omaha. Let's see, what was it? Friday through Tuesday morning, and then you were there. What was it? Monday through Thursday. Am I correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your initial thoughts, first of all, of Omaha and being there? Because was that your first time going to the World Series?
Yeah, that was my first time, and it is unbelievable. I recommend it for everyone to make sure that's on the bucket list to get out there. It was a great trip. Flights were easy from the East Coast. Obviously, I came from New Jersey. You were out in Raleigh, but quick 1.5 hour flight to a connection in Charlotte, and then another hour and a half. Very easy, but the sights were unbelievable. The city was great. The people were great. The food was even better. And that stadium is none other. That Monday night game against Vanderbilt, it was electric. Felt like we were in Raleigh. We definitely had the better fan base. But just the overall experience is awesome. The little tent city they have there, and everything's walking distance. The food, the steaks. But it was a great experience. I was able to take my dad and my younger brother, and we had a blast over those couple of days.
Yeah, no kidding. No, it was a blast. And I see you, Ben, Pack for Life, Lighter Red. Thank y'all so much for joining us. But yeah, no, I mean, again, they definitely first of all, you want to give a shout out to all those that we were able to meet in Omaha. It was great meeting y'all and getting to meet a lot of Wolfpack Nation. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a bucket list for sure. It was hot. I'll tell you that right now. Make sure you bring your sunscreen with you whenever you do go to the World Series. But I mean, it was a great time for sure. Definitely wouldn't have changed it now. I mean, obviously, it's kind of funny to me because I know, I was hearing from a lot of people like, do you regret it all? Like, coming for the first weekend instead of coming for the second weekend, since it looked like at the time that we had a really good chance of playing, like on Monday, et cetera. And, so first of all, I do want to give a shout out to the people who are stuck in Omaha right now. I know we've talked to a couple of people that are stuck in Omaha right now. So definitely, want to, hope that they can, find a way to get home safe, soon. But, and also too, a shout out as well, because I've seen some stuff on Twitter and Instagram of actually Mississippi State fans, actually helping state fans who are kind of stuck right now, trying to move their flights and, helping them with meals, hotels, stuff like that. So, I put a tweet out basically saying, I mean, just that's the beauty of sports. That, I mean, like, there's that mutual respect of like, if it was Mississippi State fans and they were in the situation, I think hopefully all state fans would, be the one reaching out his hand to Mississippi State and helping their fans out. So definitely for them to do that for us speaks a lot for their program, for their fans, for college sports in general. Ben, I see your question about JT and the Stars returning. We're going to get to that, so definitely stick around for that. But I want to give Macon a chance, man. I know Macon, you weren't able to, unfortunately, join us this time, man. But just want to kind of get your thoughts, first of all, of kind of the World Series before the news kind of went out. Kind of your overall thoughts.
Yep, I hope I'm good to have everybody joining us, talk about this stuff, just to have just a conversation, some fans talking. I mean, I thought they were the best team. Yeah. I thought they were the better team, just flat out. I think even with the Pac-13, I thought they you could argue they outplayed Vanderbilt. I mean, the pitcher Kumar Rocker, he did great, did really good. But for what we had, I thought we made some more athletic plays than they did. We got some stops that we really needed. We were one swing away from winning it.
Yeah.
I mean, my question is kind of thinking about it and not trying to get too ahead of myself, but what would have happened if we had won? If
Very
the way
good
things
question.
played out, what would happen if we had one? Like, if we just would they just told
One
us, yeah,
timely hit.
no way?
We had one timely hit. I think we had bases loaded once. I mean, if Brown hits a 3-run homer, we go up 5-3, or 4-3.
There's multiple. There were 2 or 3 times where we had like at least one guy on base and or 2 guys on base, not base low. So we had the chance there. So my thought was, if we had won, would it have been whoever wins the Mississippi State Texas game is the champion? I don't know. It's an interesting question. I just thought
I see what you mean. I see what
where they would.
is.
But I mean, like, how would they have handled it if it's really about? I mean, I'm not going to get into myself because I know we're going to talk about all that.
Yeah.
But I thought. Well, my point was, I thought we played as good as they did.
Yeah.
with like we had a pinch hitting pitcher. I mean,
and again, I mean, like literally, I actually tweeted out, like, how amazing is it that we're here in the bottom of the ninth and we have a chance to win the game? Like, I mean, I think even for me, I mean, I went into that game, I'll be 100% honest, just like down, just depressed. Cause I mean, I really did think, I mean, that with the team that we had, that we really had a chance to win. And I felt like that just kind of put both our hands behind our back. Cause I mean, again, we were without 4 starting batters and 4 of our star pitchers. And basically it was Sam Highfield and a bunch of guys who had maybe a handful of appearances the entire season. So, I mean, so literally for us to be there and Devontae Brown to be at bat with a guy on first and second with the opportunity to walk off win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it wasn't like Eddie Iser.
Let me ask you a question. Would that have been the greatest win in college baseball ever?
Of recent time, absolutely.
I mean,
without
think about
taking
that.
a look at it,
you had almost half your roster gone. You had a pitcher playing first base. You had a guy who hardly ever played second playing second, and you had your bottom half of your hitting is guys who hardly have ever hit. Your pitcher is hitting, and he went 3 for 4.
And you're not facing a guy who's a midweek starter throwing 85 to 90. You're throwing a guy facing 90 to 94.
Garrett Payne, who's like pitched very little in his time so far. I would think that would have been one of arguably the greatest game in college baseball history.
Yep, absolutely.
No
For a national, go to a national championship. I mean, it's all in hindsight now, but I don't know.
And you know what we're overlooking a little bit, but probably not because we didn't get to this yet. But if you guys remember watching the TV broadcast and seeing Coach Hart, Chrysler, and Avent just staring at their lineup and what they were going to do, how they pieced that puzzle and sticking your the best first baseman in America and sticking him in left field, and then moving Bocek over to shortstop.
But it's genius.
It was just unbelievable how they pieced that together. And how do you pick a starter? I mean, those guys had 3, 4, I think 6 combined innings. That was impressive how they pieced that together and put a lineup out there. And then we were successful. We were one timely hit away, like I keep saying. But
Yep. It was I will never forget that game. I don't think anybody who ever will forget that game. I think that is a game that when you look back on it, you almost would want to make sure, as a State fan, I would want to make sure my kids kind of knew about that game a little bit. Like a little bit, like they had you realize that, like, that was, I was saying this a little bit, that was the epitome of players who just love the game.
Yeah, going out, having fun, and no pressure. Just let's see what we can
whatever
do.
it takes. We're here to compete. And sure, I play pitcher. I'll go hit. I'll go play first base. That's like what you did when you were a kid.
Yep. The best was the picture of the catcher. I'm losing my train of thought here. On the on deck circle with his shin guards on. Trash. Yeah. On the on deck circle with his that's you see that on freshman JV ball.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we were just talking about how this team was basically just thinking about, this would have been maybe some thinking about it, how they would have, this was the epitome of just players who loved the game playing. Because I was pointing out you had Highfield going hitting in the middle of the lineup and then playing first base. Like I said, it's like what you're doing when you were a kid. I mean,
Well, and again, also too, I mean, I know you were kind of saying before I was having those issues, Rob, about how, how hard Chrysler and Avon were just looking at the line and figure out what to do. And I mean, because it's crazy to think about, but I mean, it's such a genius thing that you're basically putting Sam in a place where he doesn't have to use his arms. That way you can save him for if the situation called for it, you could turn right around and put him in as put him on the mound. I mean,
Yep.
That's insane to think about. I mean, that there was a possibility that Sam Highfield would have had to jump in as a closer for that game. Like that's insane to think about. But but it speaks to the volume and also too, because one of the things I actually tweeted about as well, and I think I actually said it in the video that we posted yesterday, was how important it was to have Luka healthy and behind the mound and behind the plate. Because I mean, you had two guys, one guy who up to this point had like a 7.5 ERA in Garrett Payne. Then you had Walton Feeney, who had like an 11.5 ERA. So I mean, two guys, who we weren't like necessarily not confident in, but who we had to rely on. We had to say, listen, you got to give us your best shot here. And I don't really know if like let's say we had to put somebody else behind the plate, to kind of serve as like that leader, saying, hey, listen, you and me, we're going to work together and we're going to make this work. And so I kind of give a huge hats off to Luka, give a huge hats off to those starting players because you really had to rely on them as leaders. Like Votek Minchik, who plays third base, so not really necessarily a huge jump over to shortstop, but definitely not where he's comfortable. And he had to jump in and and give some solid throws to Sam. Didn't have to rely on like some hoppers that Sam had to make these ridiculous catches on or something like that.
Yep.
I mean, it just speaks again how, I mean, just huge hats off to Avent. And I mean, like I even said, one of my favorite moments was when the TV people said how they actually saw Avent basically put his arm around Garrett Payne and was like, listen, we're through 5 innings. Give me one more inning. Give me one more inning. That's all we need from you. One more inning, and you did your job.
Yep.
And he gave us that one more inning. He gave it to us. And now Dalton still had to go in and throw like 65, 70 pitches, which is way more than he ever has in any appearance before. But imagine if Dalton had to come in to say, to help Garrett out, then he would have had to throw like 80 pitches. You start to get a little bit worried there. So again, just like, last night they actually, brought forward all the starters, Johnny Butler, Jose, but they actually brought forward, like Garrett. And I mean, the standing ovation for that guy. Cause I mean, Rob, I'll throw it to you, being a former pitcher, like less than an hour before the game, Coach Avent walks over to you and says, hey, listen, I need you to go start the game against Vanderbilt here in the College World Series. I mean, like they kind of said that about, how it's almost kind of a benefit because your nerves don't really have the time to come. I mean, like you don't have time to be nervous. You have to just.
I think as a freshman, that's a great scenario. But as a sophomore, junior, or senior, when you've pitched a couple years in college baseball and you have that routine, you have your stuff you eat the night before, you eat the morning of, or what you eat for lunch, and the way you warm up. But as a freshman and first time there, and so be it. I haven't been nervous for 24 hours. I would have been nervous for 24 hours. Now I'm going to be nervous for 45 minutes until that first pitch, and then I'm good to go. But he really kept his composure, and he was very impressive. And I'm excited to watch him next year. Yeah.
Well, and again, I mean, you could possibly look at that as a big benefit for next season because we're about to lose Reed, we're about to lose Evan. And, I mean, so you got Sam coming back, you got Matt Willison, you got Chris Silverman, but now you need another starter. And now you go,
He just made a great campaign for it. Yep.
No kidding. Yep. So, one of the questions, and again, please continue to send us any questions, discussion points y'all have. I know, I think it was Ben asked a question about kind of, does JT coming back? Does the starting lineup come back? I know, Rob, you kind of may have a little bit more insight into this than we do. But I mean, I know from pretty much what I've seen that in terms of starting lineup wise, I mean, Luka and Jose, and it was kind of funny last night, kind of a side point when Jose walked up to do his speech. Everybody started, tweeting, come, like I think it was like one more year, come on back, something like that. And he was, just laughing, like rolling, like, and I mean, because I like now that this has happened, you kind of see that maybe added aspect of like, maybe these guys want to now really come back to like prove a point, like, and not only, just declare ourselves national champions, but truly win it all like ourselves. But, with guys like Jose and Luca, who are top 100, I don't really see them passing the money, which again, can't blame them one bit for it necessarily. So,
yep.
But I think like Butler, he's used all his years. You got Austin Murr. I think he's. What do you think, Rob? You think Murr comes back?
I mean, there's a chance. It all depends. It has to be. Listen, it's the player, their families. They got to talk it over. But this sour taste in your mouth. I mean,
it's tough.
Like I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, but at the end of the day, it's what's best for you and your family. Because that's the future. I mean, you're not going to be at NC State playing for 6-10 years, But listen, that's why we have the coaches we have. That's why the recruits coming in are going to fill. I mean, just look at the recruiting based on what we did the other day, placing those players wherever we had to place them. I mean, to be in the game with Vandy, we keep harping on it, but you had 4 guys that barely played and 2 pitchers that haven't pitched. That just shows you how good the recruiting is. So, listen, I know we're going to get back there. I know we're going to have a great season. But yeah, I had a good conversation with Coach Hart in the hotel Tuesday morning after their game Monday night. And yeah, he's thinking like, yeah, most of these guys are probably not coming back. But that was before this happened. So that might change a few minds. If it changes one guy's mind, that'd be great. If it's a couple, that'd be even better. So,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm looking at this comment Ben Orman just put on there. It said he spoke with someone that said that Chancellor Woods didn't even want to fight with the NCAA. We can get in all that in a minute, but that just kind of burns me up inside, man. What if I hear that mess?
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that here in a second. But yeah. So kind of finishing up, but yeah, it's something which I think was something that state fans didn't really want to envision, like having all these guys leave. But it's kind of one of those things that it's a benefit, but it's also a curse. It's a benefit because you have a lot of guys who have seen a ton of college baseball, who have seen a ton of at bats, who have been there, done that, and are all strong. I mean, like literally 1 through 9, we were strong. I mean, I made the point that JT Jarrett is probably the best 9-hole hitter in the country. I mean, for what that guy does as a 9-hole hitter, I mean, like, because even like looking like Mississippi State, like I was actually sitting beside a Mississippi State fan during a Mississippi State Texas game, and he literally said to me that if the top 4 guys are not feeling it or not doing, not having their best game, there's no offense. It's just not going to come from anywhere else. And for us, I mean, look, Terrell Tatum, versus Vanderbilt, he's the guy who gets it done for us. In Louisiana Tech, like Devontae Brown, those guys were killing it. Johnny Butler has been killing it. So we didn't have to necessarily rely on that one guy, which is a huge benefit.
Yep. That's like that home run helmet. A different parent had it every game.
That's a great tradition.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, definitely, maybe like somebody like JT Jarrett, maybe you see him coming back. But again, it's all up in the air. There's nothing in stone. Everything's up in the air right now. So we'll just see what happens, I Barry with how can we find out who leaked the test results to the Vegas bookies for anyone else new? Listen, if there's one thing I do know in my short time as a young adult is Vegas bookies, nobody knows how they do it. Nobody knows how they set it. Nobody knows how they move their stuff. Who knows? I'm telling you, it's a science and nobody knows. Let's put it this way. Anybody who does know is not saying anything. Let's put it that way. They're required not to say nothing. So I'm not really sure, how to necessarily answer that.
They talked to Tuffy Talk, and we just told them. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So, So and Hunter, definitely amazing effort out of those arms, and it gets again. Like to literally, and because I actually said in the video how we never even saw Matt Willison or Chris Silverman. We never even saw them. We saw Reed Johnson, we saw Sam Highfield, and we saw Evan Justice. That's all we saw. Three guys in 2 games. So to say that we were set up for this Vanderbilt game perfectly.
Oh yeah,
is an understatement. I mean, we had. I mean, we could have gone all out. So
I
was going to say, go ahead. You got it.
Well, no, I was just saying. So I mean, like, we literally had, Matt Willits, Chris Silverman, and Evan Justice. We could have used all three of those guys in one game, and for us to hold Vanderbilt to 3 runs with Garrett Payne and Dalton Feeney, you go, okay, if we use those 3 guys, they may not have scored a run on us. Simple as that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Sorry to interrupt, but one ground ball, they were all unearned runs, not one earned run. So even if, just say we had Torres for that game, I think we win that game. Not taking away anything away from Vocek making the error. It is what it is. He's not going to make every play. Every guy's not going to make every play. But if the way the COVID fell or whatever happened with the NCAA, if Torres was there, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. I forgot what the point you're trying to make was, but I agree. I think we could have won that game. But at the end of the day, I'm just proud of the way we played. I just remember. I'm going to remember seeing the smile on Sam Heifel's face when he got his second hit, or his second hit, and he's just like, this is crazy. Like, he's kind of like beside himself watching him play. Like, it's fun. At that point, you're like, what do we have? Like, what do we have to lose? And they did great. They'll live in infamy somewhere. I feel like they need to put it inside the Doak if they do any renovations, saying like home of the Pac-13, something like that would be a cool little honoring for them. In 2021 College World Series, something like that would be. You could make that team live in infamy, so that way they, in some ways, the NCAA will never outlive it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's been made perfectly clear through videos, through social media. Even last night, everybody's saying, build that stadium. I mean, because I made the point yesterday.
After this, you'd better.
Yeah. Elliot deserves whatever he wants. The passion he has. Listen, we're not being biased here. Like, we can be biased. I know, like, we get some blown calls between basketball and football, but you're looking at social media. You have a nation behind us right now, except for Vanderbilt, that feels for us and knows where we should be. A nation, not just Raleigh, not just Wolfpack Nation, the entire United States. You got El Prez at Barstool. You have I saw the senator from North Carolina. Yeah, listen, you have a nation.
Lieutenant Governor.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So he deserved what. Listen, I played there almost a little over 10 years ago now, or no, just about 10 years, and the stadium looks the same. They did a beautiful renovation of the locker room. They put a newer scoreboard up, but that was probably a little bit after I left. Mm-hmm. And listen, I know they added some seats in left field there on the left field line, but it looks like they added them for like high school graduation. And now seeing all these stadiums on these regionals, like, you're not just streaming games on TV on the internet anymore. You're on ESPNU, you're on ESPN2, ESPN, all these games. You see all these regionals. We got to put a better showing. And now that we're now nationwide for this reason of this COVID-19 NCAA fake protocol, or whatever you want to call it, now it's time to actually let's put our foot down and let's get some. Not a real nice stadium. Let's make it look like a minor league ballpark, because listen, we have minor league guys playing right now, and MLB guys playing. So it's just a matter of time. I know they're not going to build it in 3 months, but let's get the plans. Let's get it approved. Let's do something for whatever Elliot wants.
And I'll argue this to kind of add on the. I don't think we need something as grand as like Arkansas has. I don't know if forever. I don't know if that's feasible to think. Oh yeah, we need like, 10,000, 15,000 seats in there. I think we could use 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 seats and make it look really nice. Heck yeah. Look at Carolina Stadium.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things that, start, don't necessarily spend a ton of money to make it this ridiculous stadium. Just step by step, let's just take a nice big step here. let's get it looking nice. Let's redo the scoreboard. Because I know it's it's a little bit outdated and stuff, and but also too. Give the recruits, the players, what they need. Give them what they want.
Yep.
Make them feel comfortable, make them want to come and be happy here. So, but because I'll tell you, I mean, if it's a matter of money, I feel very confident in saying, I said this in the video yesterday, that I mean, you just tell former players maybe like Carlos and Rodon, tell Trey, tell us, guys like us, how much it costs, we'll raise that money. Simple as that. I mean,
listen, with social media now, we could get a nice Trey Turner hitting facility. We could get a Carlos Rodon pitching analytics center.
I think right now, if you want to do a fundraising campaign, you got to do it now, because I think you get some people from and going back to kind of tying what you're saying, Rob, you can get people from all across the country probably right now. If you can do it right now, they'll be willing to donate a little bit. Maybe if it's $5. But that'll add
up. I think Mississippi State will send us a bunch, because I know they don't want to face our lineup. Vanderbilt don't have a lineup.
And I'll say this: if any Mississippi State fans out there, again, we just really appreciate it. But I'll tell you this too: I was looking at Arkansas fans, Louisiana Tech fans. I saw stuff from a lot of Barstool Sport accounts. Missouri. I saw this today. Florida Gulf Coast. Who cares? Yep. Like Florida, Boston College. I saw some Louisville players. I saw some Ole Miss players. I saw Texas fans. I saw
Louisville. You saw Louisville. Even Louisville.
I saw a Louisville player. I saw a Louisville player tweet out something.
Virginia too. Virginia.
Yep. Yeah. And I was trying to get a list down. I had it earlier, but I took some screenshots. But my thing is, you do it now, and I think that honestly, I'm going to get more blunt. I think the whole we're going to invest a little bit more into football and basketball is a load of crap a lot of times, because I'm like, you got to fill in. If you've done at least stuff for the women's basketball team, you need to be doing something for the baseball team. They've put it off forever, and they need to do it. And it's just honestly, it's ridiculous if they don't.
Yeah. Yep. And listen, we have one of the nicest playing surfaces in the country. That's a fact. Our grounds crew is unbelievable. That grass, that mound, the dirt, the playing surface is beautiful. Nothing needs to be done with that. We just need to increase the seating a little bit and the player facilities. That's the biggest thing.
I'll tell you this too. I'm looking through here. I got some screenshots. James Madison, Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh, I saw that.
Something. Yep. Who Emmanuel Echo? He's a speaker. He's an ESPN guy. He put something out. I saw a D3 school, JCU. I don't know what the name is, but JCU did that. Carolina Hurricanes, Jordan Martinuk. He put out something. It's just like, you do it now. You do it now, and if you don't, you just have painted everybody to NC State fan, how much you care about baseball. You just told everybody. It's no getting around at this point.
Here's one thing I'd like to touch on. I know Leighton, you got to meet him. I pretty much hung out with Andrew Brackman the whole couple of days I was down there, and we were talking about it. We're like, where's our famous alumni? Like, we saw Peyton Manning up there for Tennessee. We were like, where's Phillip Rivers? Phillip Rivers needs to be down here and in a suite. I know David Thompson was there. Who else was there? But listen, they're there because Elliot probably reached out, not because our athletic department reached out. Maybe it is. I could be wrong. But we even said Russell Wilson, he's got a private jet, fly him out there.
Yeah. I thought for sure he would be at the State Stanford game because his sister played at Stanford.
But just little things like that. It's something. I know Trey and I know Carlos, they're in the middle of the season. I do not expect them to be there all. They gave us great shout outs on their social media and little interviews. But just stuff like that. Like I know Phillip Rivers is like
Bradley Chubb.
Have a bunch of those guys get a suite. Every time we saw Rafael Palmeiro there. I mean, his son went to State. But he tweeted for us. There's tons of celebrities that came in. But I think we need to do a better job with including.
At this point, get the
names.
Barstool president in there. Get Portnoy in there. At this point.
Yep.
Well, because one thing too to kind of speak about that. So one of the big things which I thought was really cool last night was obviously for those who tuned in live, obviously I ran into Michael Macchiavello, the former NC State wrestling national champion. He was doing big shout outs for sure for state baseball, and you actually saw like pretty much all the young NC State basketball players that were there. So like DeQuarian Smith was there, Breon Pass was there, supporting this team. So so that was cool to see. But yeah, I mean, definitely I agree with you. Like seeing Peyton Manning being there for Tennessee. You do kind of wish, especially like a Russell Wilson, which is a big name, but makes sense for him to be there because he loves baseball. And, just like you said, his sister went to Stanford. So, it made sense for him to fly in and, check out a game. But especially because, when we beat Arkansas, he actually tweeted out, shouting out to Evan Justice, how, he balled out. So, I was kind of shocked, that didn't happen. But, it's and I think this kind of moves as a kind of a perfect turning point to kind of talking about Boo and Chancellor Woodson.
And let me say this too: if you guys got any, for those who are watching, if you got any questions, feel free to send them our way. We'll, this is an open discussion. We're, like I said, just some fans talking.
Yep. Yeah. Appreciate that, Macon. Yeah. And so definitely make sure to do that. But yeah, I know that it's kind of one of those tough subjects because I know for AD Boo Corrigan, there was like a lot of fans yesterday that were tweeting out, Boo sucks, and a lot of people are very upset at Boo on social media. And when they came out with that email, kind of talking about the details, some were happy with it. Some were feeling like that there was something missing there. I know for me, like, I kind of believe it or not, I should take a lot of look at maybe what's Debbie Al saying right now, and because I know necessarily she can't necessarily hate on Boo at all or anything like that because she probably just can't. But I think it said a lot for me, how she kind of put everybody at ease, saying like, listen, we can't turn on each other right now. We're all dealing with this right now. It's a situation that nobody has ever had to deal with ever in college sports. So we're all on the same page, that we're all trying to get into state what it deserves. Go ahead, Macon.
And my thought though with my whole thing and the way it's being perceived right now is a lot like a lot of programs, kind of like even a little bit like the NCAA wants you to handle things. We did the best we could, but we can't talk about what we did, the efforts we put into it. When you're playing for a national championship, as long as the long-suffering state has gone through to try to get there, I know that in the email, the phrase that Boo Corrigan used was, we've, quote, fought exhaustively. And then, he said, we, due to, I don't know, privacy reasons or whatever, we can't discuss any more than that. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of on the edge on the position. Like, I think we do deserve to know exactly how much did you fight. Like, sure, we don't need to know, hey, did you get up in some dude's face and cuss him out? We don't need to know that kind of stuff.
No.
But we need to know a little bit more detail than just we did the best we could. Personally, I think they have to do that. I think this cloud of secrecy, we did the best we could, and then, NCAA announcing the whole thing at 2:00 at night and in the morning, and everybody's going home. No one really understands. I think people need to start speaking up. I think I saw from Inside Pack Sports. I think it was Rob McClam had an article. Haven't really got a chance to read it. But shout out to IPS. They had an article, and I saw the headline was basically some people need to speak up, or somebody needs to speak up was the headline. And I'm looking forward to reading that article. But I'm just, they need to, Boo, you're right. Boo has, I don't know of another thing who's done this, who's, just play for national championship and you get forfeited. However, we just saw down the road, UNC had an academic scandal for 20 plus years, and they're athletic and they lawyered up and did everything they could. Granted, it's a little bit different because it's not legal stuff and that kind of thing. But Bubba Cunningham for Carolina and that whole department at UNC, they did not let up one bit. And you see how it paid off for them, whether it's right or wrong, and whether they cheat or not, which we all know they did because we all know that. But you just see these kind of things. You think Kansas with Bill Self and that whole paying, you think LSU is going to just bend over and just let them kind of just, whip them on the butt? No, they're not going to do that. And neither should we. And to me, it comes across like, I'm kind of new here and I don't really know it comes across like this cloud of, I don't really know I don't want to be, offend the powers that be kind of things, what it comes across to me. Now, again, granted, we don't know. But I do think the phrasing of "we fought exhaustively and due to privacy reasons we can't talk about it." No, I think you need to. I think you got
No,
to.
listen, we don't need names. I don't care
Yeah.
who had
Nope.
COVID or who got positive. I don't care about that.
No.
Just give us a blanket number and give us the reasoning of what the reasonings you got. But here's one thing, right? Kendall Rogers, big baseball writer, he tweeted, I had a ton of questions answered this morning about the process that led to NC State baseball's removal from the NCAA College World Series. I'll have a story out here in a couple hours. It clears a lot of things up. That was 3 hours ago. We should not be hearing from him first. There should be a press 100%. And listen, we don't need it from Elliott. We don't need it from Elliott. We need it from Boo. We need it from the administration.
To support what you're saying, Rob, and I think this is the ultimate statement about it. What's happening right now and how quickly and how not quickly, how long this holds off for Boo Corrigan will make or break how fans view him forever.
Yeah.
You think about, I forgot who's the AD before Debbie L. I'm again drawing a blank. I'm blanking the guy's name. But either way, Lee Fowler. Lee Fowler.
Yes, Lee Fowler. That's right.
Every fan has a taste of Lee Fowler. When they say Lee Fowler as fans, they like, oh yeah, that guy was lame, just lame, got us nowhere, terrible hire. That's how his legacy is. Debbie L. At this point, we know her legacy. There's probably things people don't like about her for different reasons, but ultimately she got us some winning coaches, and she totally changed the dynamic of our athletic department for the most part. We're now competing in the Directors Cup kind of stuff. You know, I think she's one of the best things to have in NC State athletics personally.
Yeah.
You can just leave the discussions in there. Go ahead.
I was there. I think my first year was Lee Fowler's last year, and then Debbie came in. I actually had a great relationship with Debbie. Every time I was on campus after I graduated, I got to see her and see her in the office, talk a little bit. And I was on the student athletic advisory committee with her. And I was actually part of the committee that brought the first black jerseys into state.
There you go.
It was probably 2010, 2011. And that was one of our initiatives, was to get, it started with football, obviously. But now look at them. But yeah, she did put a good footprint, and she did a heck of a job at Maryland. And that's why we hired her. And, but yeah, listen,
my whole point is though, what happens right now when we are at a point where we could win a national championship and it looks like we just rolled over and did nothing. I'm not saying, again, that's why I say we need answers. If they say we fought out, that's too generic for this situation.
Yep.
We need some details.
Yep.
This right now, and I already talked to some fans who've already, their whole opinion of Boo has shifted. They don't care for him anymore already from this whole thing. And my thing is, if you want to right now, this moment right now will define Boo Corrigan's legacy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah.
Imagine if it would be worse if it were basketball and football.
True.
Think about that. This right now, it's baseball. Granted, it's one of your top three sports compared to women's basketball, third, fourth. You could argue that. But this is going to define, this moment right now, even this early on, is going to define Boo Corrigan's legacy at NC State.
Yep, and time's starting to run out.
And because the one thing which I do want to bring up for those who for some reason haven't seen it, that Barstool Pack actually tweeted out yesterday that again, I'm assuming most everybody on here has probably heard it, but just to reiterate it. So Douglas County, which is the county that Omaha's based out of, Health Department spokesman Phil Rooney said the Health Department did not recommend NC State's removal, but told the NCAA the department would support whatever decision the NCAA made. That right there for me, I feel like you need to just take that paragraph and just like put it on your cover letter. And that is should be the first thing that should be said whenever you're making any kind of, discussion or remark or argument of why we got screwed. Seriously, that to me basically says NCAA decided, no, we're not going to go based off of what the local recommendation is. We're going to go off of what we want to do. And because there's even, stuff coming out that somebody tweeted out a list of the people that make up the crew or the whatever.
The College World Series medical staff.
Doctors, medical staff. And one of them being from, either a Vanderbilt grad or from Vanderbilt. And so, not to say by any means I'm saying, or I think we're saying that made a difference. But when you look at that and then you see that, you kind of start thinking, And
there's more to this than just what. Yeah, why do you think they announced it at 2:00 at night? They were scared. They knew there's gonna be this major fallout. And here's my personal take. I put up a big long thing on my Facebook page about it, but I don't get. People say, "Oh, making this, it's a vaccinated, unvaccinated thing." I'll tell you what's taking me off a little bit is seeing fans going and saying on not fans. Well, I don't really know what they are, but they're like, "Oh, well, we feel really bad for the vaccinated players who did their job and the unvaccinated players who just, they lost it for their team." It was the vaccinated players who got positive tests, so it wouldn't really matter. Didn't really even matter.
Apparently, it was for vaccinated
players.
Yeah.
And the whole protocol for the NCAA was to not test vaccinated players. Yeah. And then why are they doing the test at the request of the opponent? Why?
Hallelujah.
Listen, get it. I'd like to know, where are the tests for these other teams? Because listen, I was there Monday to Thursday. I've never played in the College World Series, but I've been to the AC tournament. I've been to regionals. I know what players look like. I know what players wear. They all wear the same stuff. I went to DJ's dugout. There was a table of 8 of Virginia players in all their gear. I saw Brock from Stanford. He was sitting with 2 other guys at the Black down low sitting. After the Mississippi State game, I stayed at the same hotel Mississippi State was. Myself, Brackman, my dad, brother, we walked in. There had to be 500 people in the lobby lined up, probably 3 feet with a 3-foot aisle for the team to walk in. Where are those tests? Why are they not all getting tested?
They just announced on Twitter celebrate the day after they canceled NC State, or the night, I guess they canceled NC State, and say, look at how many fans. We got 21,000 fans in this ballpark.
Yep.
You kidding me? Like, if to me, it's this whole front. It's no accountability for the NCAA. They just do what they want to, and nobody cares. Like, kind of like the federal government, to be honest with you. And it's like, if it's really about, it's this front about being of safety and health. Due to safety and health, we're going to. No, it's not. It's about liability. It's about you being scared for someone getting sick and suing you or whatever. That's all it is. And it's all it ever has been. That's why they didn't. Again, I'm going back. That's why they didn't hammer Carolina for doing that, because Carolina brings in the big bucks. That's why they haven't hammered Kansas yet, because they bring in the big bucks. That's why they aren't going to. Imagine if Alabama is in a national championship or college football playoffs, and they were going to play somebody like Missouri or Indiana. Let's just say some team who's kind of right, maybe a little bit around the top. Iowa State. They make it to there, and Alabama gets COVID. Half their team gets COVID. Do you really think the NCAA is going to tell Nick Saban, Alabama, you can't go play for a national championship? Heck no, they're not going to do that.
Well, because one of the big stories was that there's a picture of Trevor Lawrence when he tested positive during the playoffs or whatever it was.
For it. Yep.
I was wearing an N95, and there was a picture of him standing beside a couple of players, and he pulls us down and talks to like maybe 6 inches from their face, and it's like, and because again they didn't bring anybody else out for contact tracing, so again there's it's no surprise, and it's the same story that NCAA is a flawed system, that they're watching out for the guys that are going to bring them the money. That's always been known.
My question is, how do you hold them accountable now? And that's where it comes down to. It's got to be Chancellor Woodson. It's got to be Boo Corrigan. It has to be them.
Yep.
How they handle this right now will determine their legacy, because we, like me, Macon Adams, I can't do anything. I can write him an email. I can give him a phone call. What is that going to do? They're when we drop in the bucket. But to them who have the power to do it and they do nothing, I want to know. It would blow my mind. It would blow my mind.
When's I want to know when the championship parade is for these kids. When is that? Because I'd like to be there for that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Saw last night. You don't think fans would be all about that? You don't think there'd be? I bet you there might even be some Carolina and Duke fans there to help celebrate for those guys, because everybody knows they got screwed, and it's just ripped off, and it was. I don't know. I'm getting on my.
Listen, Pack for life. Vandy's coach is a big boy in the college baseball scene. He knew what he was doing. Yeah, and listen, this is something that's been on the back of my mind. I don't know if anyone's thought of this, but Coach Avent's the head coach for Team USA. Guess who's listed as an assistant? I'd like to see how that goes. Tim Corbin's listed.
The Vandy coach? Is it Corbin?
Tim Corbin's listed as an assistant. So I'd like to see if that gets changed.
And hold on, I gotta read this. So because for those who haven't heard it, which I'll know again, I don't know why you haven't heard this.
Interesting point, Rob. That's
yeah. So one of his famous quotes from his post games, one of his interviews, or whatever, is, "We got a positive outcome, and at the end of the day, I don't care what it looks like. We're still here playing."
That does not sound like the love of the game to me.
That I mean, because again, I'm one. I've played sports all my life, and at the end of the day, if you were to ask me, would I rather play a team at half capacity and beat them, or beat them at full capacity and probably maybe lose to them? I'm taking it probably lose to them all day because I don't want any excuses. I don't want any, and I don't want any asterisks in my system at all.
Yep.
And unfortunately now, if Vanderbilt wins the national championship, that is a huge asterisk on them. Huge asterisk.
Yeah, and listen, there's karma. There's definitely baseball gods.
Yes.
So my money is on Mississippi State. But listen, like I said, I tweeted it. Vanderbilt's there. It wasn't deserved, and it wasn't earned.
No.
And earning to be somewhere. So and it's not just Raleigh. It's like I said, the nation. The nation knows. Right. So
I'm gonna tell you what though. One of the funniest things I've seen was, I think it was a Mississippi State fan, or maybe it was some random national guy. He put up this meme. It was like the scene from Rocky, where Rocky's holding Apollo, and Apollo's got Apollo's face is NC State, and then Rocky is Mississippi State, and then you see that's the first picture. Second picture is Rocky looking up at I forget the Russian guy, Drago. Like he's like as if like, I'm going to get you in the back, and it's Mississippi State, and then the Drago's Vanderbilt. Like it's almost like he just realized like, oh, we're doing this for Apollo, we're doing this for State now.
Oh, it's because one of the things too, which I'll add in, is so I can't think of I can't even count how many different people that I would run into where they're just, because again, I mean, I would say most of the fans at any one game were not fans of either team. Most of them are just local people that were just coming to check out a great baseball game. And so that one. So definitely go check that one out, guys. But most of them would just be saying, we just decided we're going to cheer for NC State or whatever, or like a lot of them would be like Nebraska fans, and a lot of them would be like, oh man, thank you guys for beating Arkansas, really appreciate that. So we're State fans now. Well, I guarantee you that if they're not Nebraska fans and weren't already cheering for us because we beat Stanford or beat Arkansas, if they're on social media, they're fans for us now because, I mean, they see the injustice here and they're fans of now Mississippi State. Because, I mean, I was talking to my wife. I was like, I need to go find a cowbell because I need to make a video of like me ringing a cowbell or something. Because because I know we play them in football this coming season. So, I mean, but for the time being, I am a Mississippi State fan through and through.
I'll tell you this. Mississippi State fans, I think if we celebrate as being like co-champions, I don't think they would care at all. I think they would celebrate it with us because they know we got rain for this. It's just it's infuriating.
I think we should do like one of those things where it's kind of like, we just like make our own, like we do kind of like the after dark series where like we just like bring Mississippi State to Doak and just do like a 3-game series.
We should do our non-conference. We should do that.
Yeah,
like the first like 4 weekends. We should do one of them.
And I know we talked about it a little bit already. I'm gonna go back to it a little bit. Personally, I'm part of it. 2 things. One, I actually think, and then the evidence is there, I think Vanderbilt was a little scared to play us. Personally, that's what I think. Why would they press so hard to test us? I mean, I think they realized they didn't have a bullpen behind them.
Leiter pitched. Leiter was lights out. 15 Ks, one pitch down the middle that was sent 450 feet. He pitched well, but I mean, listen, we had 8 hits against Rocker. Maybe a little less because when he came out, but we hit Rocker. Heck, our pitcher that hasn't hit since high school hit Rocker. So they were going to throw their number 3. They were saving Leiter, thinking they would beat us, or if they did beat us, Leiter starts game 1. Because listen, he's $1 million man. He's going first couple picks, so he's going to get his couple mil. So they weren't starting him on short rest after throwing 120 pitches.
Yeah,
so they were definitely scared.
I would be surprised if Leiter pitched against us the 3rd game because if they did pitch 10, then
they were scared.
Have him for game 1. So
it's
And my other thing, I'll say this too. You can't prove it, but we've seen a track record of this. Do you really think the NCAA was not thinking about their pocketbook with this decision a little bit? Somewhere along the way, you don't think that the idea of having the defending national champions winning
Oh yeah,
again with 2
absolutely.
top 10 MLB draft picks, winning would not make them more
Absolutely.
money? Yeah, I mean,
Just
and my
listen.
thing go ahead.
Just listen to the broadcast Monday and Tuesday. It'll be all about Vanderbilt. All about
Drooling about
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
thing was too is like I think they also, and again, I can't prove it, obviously, but it's just a thought, my own theory. I think they also, in that same vein, were a little bit peeved that this NC State team is knocking off their darlings. They knocked off Louisiana Tech, who was a 1 seed, but I don't know if they really care about Louisiana Tech. We knocked off Cops in Arkansas, number 1 seed team. They drooled over Cops, and he's not there to play in the College World Series because of state. We beat Brendan Beck and Stanford. They're not there. We embarrassed the Pac-12 pitcher of the year kind of thing. Yep. We beat Leiter. Oh, he's the greatest pitcher since sliced bread and Kevin Kopps, but yet, he lost. I think there's a little bit of some there. And I think that's in my opinion, obviously. I'm not, and I know no proof, but I think we've seen the NCAA historically only think about themselves, and they only, when it comes to the teams that make them the money, they don't do anything.
Yeah,
and that's probably why I think that.
Well, because think about it, so like for football, for example, you always see the same guys. You see Ohio State, you see Alabama, you see Clemson. And you see those guys. But so I think for like College World Series guys, I think NCAA kind of looked and they go, okay, we have an opportunity right now to have Arkansas with Cops. We have Vanderbilt with their 2-star pitchers. We could have Texas and Mississippi State coming to town. Holy smokes, that's a ton of fans. Holy smokes, those are some great baseball games right there. Holy smokes, we are about to cash it out. And then their heads and tails. I mean, because that's again. I mean, everybody was saying before the World Series, well, aren't you nervous about facing Stanford? They just beat the crap out of Texas Tech, and aren't you afraid about going against Vanderbilt because they have these 2-star pitchers? And it's like, listen, Arkansas was by far the favorite before the Super Regional started to win the College World Series. They were the heads and tails favorite. It wasn't even close. And so, again, I do agree with you there. I think that it's a lot of conspiracy.
Do you think, also thinking back just a couple years ago, Coastal Carolina won the whole thing? How much money do you think they missed by Coastal Carolina winning? I don't think they wanted that to happen again. Granted, we're not Coastal Carolina, but we're probably on the same, maybe a little bit in the baseball territory, a little bit less than Mississippi State because they have the big Mississippi State's all about their baseball for the most part. But I think there's some thinking there. You know, you could never prove it, but I bet you that kind of was in the back of some people's minds when they made that decision a little bit.
Well, because I mean, Coastal Carolina, they're all in on. Well, okay, I wouldn't say all in now because all of a sudden football for them has become a big thing for them. But before last year, they were all in on baseball, and I know that year after year they would be one of the better teams in college baseball. But I do hear you on that in terms of, I mean, they're not so a big name like a Vandy or an Arkansas.
Right.
Or
my point was, say Texas won. You don't think Texas would bring more money than NC State? You don't think Stanford would have brought in more money than NC State? I mean, my whole point is, I just think there's a little bit there, somewhere a little bit, and this is not a major argument for me. I just think it's somewhere a little bit. We've seen the NCAA think of themselves, think of their pocketbook. They don't hammer the teams that make them the money. And in this case, Vanderbilt was a defending national champion. Imagine the story of going back to back and 2 top 10 pitchers winning. I think it's a little bit in there.
Yeah. But so just to kind of wrap things up here, I know we only got about 5 minutes left or so. So wanted to kind of wrap it up necessarily for this team and next season. So I'll start off with you, Rob, if you don't mind. So just lost Rob. Oh, got him back. Hold on. All right, we'll try it again. Rob. So want to kind of hand to you. So kind of give us your kind of overall synopsis. Is probably maybe the biggest and from these players. What would you kind of say the biggest? Just trying to try to wrap up the bow of necessarily this season and this team necessarily kind of deal. If you had to kind of describe it, in one statement, what would you say?
Yeah, I think it's from the start to the end. I mean, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and the way they finished was unbelievable. And the heart of this team, as an alumni, as a baseball alumni, makes me as proud as can be. And just knowing I played for Elliot and what he's about and what that team is about, it shows what NC State is and should be about. But for them to get to Omaha, I think this is. I know we were there 2013, but I think this week and the last 2 weeks have put us on the map nationally as a baseball, not just North Carolina, South Carolina, East Coast thing. So I think this is definitely a positive 2 weeks, and unfortunate how it ended. But
yeah, Macon, if I hand it to you,
I would say this team was the greatest NC State baseball team ever. I mean, they had heart of champions. Granted, I think the 2013 team did too. I think most teams have. But from top to bottom, granted, we were a little bit shallow after about pitcher 4 or 5. We were a little shallow. But then again, you saw Garrett Payne pitch great. I mean, you saw Dalton Feeney. I think Dalton Feeney may have a little bit of work to do, and I think he probably knew that. But he pitched great for us. What we needed from him, did his job. And I think when we look back on this team, they're going to say from the 2021 NC State team was the greatest baseball team State's ever had. And I don't think they're ever going to be forgotten. They won't ever be forgotten now, especially not after all this whole debacle with the NCAA. It's going to be
Elliot won't let that happen.
Yeah, so. Immortal. I think immortal. They always remembered. I think you look back, you found some stars now. I think the biggest one has come out of this season is Highfield. I think with what he did in this postseason, ain't nobody going to forget Highfield, especially being an Apex guy.
Yeah, being from the area, absolutely.
Area, he's going to always be that guy, and I feel like next year, he's coming back for sure. He'll be one of the leaders on the team. It'll be arguably unless it's like Murr comes back, it could be Murr's team, it could be Highfield's team, whoever comes back. I mean, but my point is, greatest in-state baseball team we've ever had, and played like champions.
Now, the biggest thing for me, which I will say, is the character of this team. I feel is the biggest thing that stands out to me. And Elliot kind of said that yesterday. And real quick, Ken's. So we were kind of saying it's kind of up in the air right now in terms of who returns and doesn't return next season. Obviously, the feel from talking to Coach Hart is that most everybody was leaving, but now with everything that's gone on, some people might shock us and stay, but not sure, unfortunately. But we'll definitely talk more about that as we kind of go through the summer here. So definitely make sure to stick around, Ken. Really appreciate that. But again, getting back to it. So yeah, I mean, the character though, for me of this team, and being a guy who's played sports all my life, I've never seen a team with as much character as this team to literally say, I mean, because again, you start off 1-8. And then you had to deal with, COVID issues and, to obviously to dig yourself out of that situation and rally together and say, listen, this is unacceptable. We're way better than this. We need to step it up. And because the biggest thing too is you look at like for example, like a Tim Tebow led Florida Gators, you can easily look at a certain couple of players and you go, that guy and that guy and that guy led this team back to where it is after losing like they did. But with this team, Elliot Avon, no doubt that dude's a leader. But you kind of look other places, you go, it could have come from 100 different places, which again I think proves how everybody bought in to this vision of this is where we still can be and this is where we're going to be. And then also too, Elliot kind of mentioned it yesterday with how much character they had to deal with the NCAA's decision. And instead of just smashing pots and saying, what the, and all that crap, what the heck, they all came together and said, listen, coach, if you don't mind, we want to go to the stadium one more time and take a team picture. Like that to me, and I tweeted that out. That to me, that's amazing. That just makes my heart melt. I mean, again, to the maturity on those guys to say, listen, we're proud of what we've done to this point. We love we love each other, in and out, and can't thank them enough. And so we're gonna go stand, in front of the stadium where we've made our mark and take one more picture together, I think that sums up this team through and through.
They handled it like men.
The skill was there. There's no doubt the skill was there, but the character, I don't think you see that very often from many teams. I don't think you see that. So
that's NC State. That's what NC State's all about, though.
Amen. That's Rob said that. I think you just said as well, Macon. That's what NC State should be known for is having guys that are skilled, represent the school really well, but also play like men, just like you said, Rob. Amen to that. So thank you all again, really, for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you all so much for sticking around. Thank you all for your questions, your thoughts. Really do appreciate it. Again, make sure to continue to follow us, and we'll be rolling out some more episodes. Got an episode coming out, the part 2 from our Justin Williams interview, where we continue talking about baseball and other sports as well on Tuesday, and then we'll be rolling out some other episodes as well. So make sure you definitely stick around, tune in with us, and looking forward to hearing from y'all. And thank y'all so much for your time, and thank y'all so much for helping us support Pac-9 this season. Again, everybody says thank y'all for following, for covering this team. Well, again, as we could cover like crazy, but without y'all buying in and helping share the messages, we couldn't have done everything that we've done. So thank y'all so much for the support as well. So thank y'all again. Stay safe and go Pack, y'all.